Recent reports from Vietnam paint a grim picture of widespread destruction caused by relentless storms and flooding, particularly in the northern and central regions. The latest disaster, exacerbated by Typhoon Matmo, has left a trail of devastation, claiming lives and causing extensive damage to homes, infrastructure, and agriculture. The flooding follows a succession of devastating storms. Typhoon Matmo, the latest in a series of severe weather events, compounded the damage already inflicted by previous typhoons, such as Bualoi and Ragasa. Typhoon Matmo brought intense and prolonged heavy rains across northern and north-central Vietnam, saturating the soil and causing river levels to rise rapidly. The Cau and Thuong Rivers, for example, surged past their highest alert levels, with some areas recording over 200 millimeters of rain. At least 15 people have been confirmed dead and 8 others injured across the affected regions as of October 10, 2025. Thousands of residents have been evacuated, and vital infrastructure has been severely damaged. As of October 8th, nearly 17,000 houses were flooded, and 710 were completely destroyed. The agricultural sector has suffered immense setbacks, with almost 22,600 hectares of rice and crops inundated and damaged. Hundreds of thousands of livestock and poultry were also killed. Widespread flooding and landslides blocked numerous road sections, disrupting traffic and hampering relief efforts. Power outages affected nearly 181,000 households. A significant number of vulnerable people, including children, have lost access to safe drinking water, sanitation, and education, raising the risk of disease outbreaks. The Vietnamese government has mobilized a massive response effort and appealed for international assistance. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has directed ministries to step up rescue and relief operations, deploying emergency teams and placing rescue forces on round-the-clock duty. A 140 billion VND, approximately $5.3 million, emergency aid package was approved to assist the affected provinces. Authorities have urged residents in high-risk zones to move to safer ground and issued urgent warnings as evacuation operations continue. The government is coordinating with international organizations to ensure the swift distribution of essential supplies. The recent floods underscore Vietnam's vulnerability to climate change, with increasingly frequent and intense storms battering the nation. Experts note that warmer ocean waters, fueled by global warming, are intensifying tropical storms, leading to heavier rainfall and more severe flooding. This necessitates a long-term strategy for building climate resilience. Priorities include repairing and restoring critical infrastructure, such as dikes and irrigation systems, and strengthening flood protection. The government also seeks international support for reconstruction, focusing on repairing damaged houses, schools, and health clinics. Meanwhile, Hanoi has been hit by widespread flooding for the second time in 2 weeks, as the remnants of Typhoon Matmo dumped torrential rain across the city and northern Vietnam. The severe weather has brought the capital to a near standstill, flooding major roads and overwhelming the urban drainage system. The most recent deluges, which occurred on October 7th and 8th, followed closely on the heels of Typhoon Bualoi, which struck northern Vietnam a week earlier. The back-to-back storms have left city infrastructure heavily impacted and residents struggling to cope. On October 7th, prolonged downpours saw several areas in Hanoi receive up to 350 millimeters of rainfall, leading to widespread flooding in over 90 locations across the city. The repeated inundation has caused significant disruption to daily life. Residents have been forced to wade through calf-deep water on major roads, with many motorbikes and cars becoming stranded. Traffic has come to a halt in several areas, with vehicles queuing for extended periods as they attempt to navigate the floodwaters. On October 7th, areas like My Dike intersection and Tang Long Boulevard were heavily impacted, with parts of the latter resembling a river. Residents resorted to pushing their motorbikes or using makeshift boats to transport goods through flooded streets. Schools across the capital either closed their doors or switched to online learning to ensure the safety of students. Several flights at Hanoi by International Airport have been delayed or rescheduled due to the adverse weather conditions. In some residential areas, floodwaters have breached floodproof doors, entering homes and forcing residents to pump water out. In response, Hanoi authorities have been operating pumping stations at maximum capacity to drain water. However, the city's aging drainage system has struggled to handle the extreme volume of rainfall, a problem exacerbated by urbanization. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh held a meeting on October 9th to review the recovery efforts following Typhoon Matmo. The government is assessing the full extent of the damage and coordinating with international partners for assistance. Experts warn that climate change is fueling more frequent and intense storms, meaning Hanoi must build long-term climate resilience to protect its vulnerable communities. Meanwhile, Nguyen Province in northern Vietnam was hit by historic flash floods caused by unprecedented flooding of the Cau River following heavy rainfall from Typhoon Matmo. This disaster, which occurred just weeks after Typhoon Bualoi, caused widespread destruction, claimed lives, submerged tens of thousands of homes, and crippled infrastructure across the region. Between October 6th and 7th, 2025, Typhoon Matmo triggered record-breaking heavy rainfall, with some areas of Thanh Nguyen recording up to 500 millimeters of rainfall. The incessant rain caused the water level in the Cau River to rise rapidly. On October 8th, the Gia base station recorded a water level of 29.9 meters, 2.9 meters above warning level 3, extremely dangerous, and surpassing the previous record high flood level set in 2024. Initial reports confirmed at least 4 people were killed, 2 missing, and 2 others injured across the province. Home damage. More than 5,450 homes were damaged or inundated, with approximately 490 families undergoing emergency evacuation. In some areas of Thanh Nguyen City, floodwaters reached the roofs of houses and cars, trapping many residents inside. Communication and power outages. Power outages and communication disruptions affected many areas, hampering rescue and relief efforts. Landslides. Highly saturated soil conditions also triggered landslides, threatening residents' safety and damaging roads and buildings. Thanh Nguyen's agricultural sector, a center for tea and other crops, suffered significant losses. More than 4,400 hectares of rice paddies and farmland were inundated, while more than 58,000 livestock and poultry were killed or swept away by the floods. This damage is expected to cause significant economic losses and impact the livelihoods of thousands of families. The flooding in Thanh Nguyen highlights Vietnam's vulnerability to climate change. Experts warn that more frequent and intense storms will continue to hit the region in the future. Infrastructure needs strengthening. As part of the reconstruction effort, the government has pledged to improve flood control infrastructure, including strengthening the embankments along the Cau River. Early warning. Efforts to improve early warning systems are crucial to ensure effective evacuation and rapid response to future natural disasters. As recovery efforts continue, Thanh Nguyen faces a long and difficult road to recovery. This disaster serves as a poignant reminder of the urgent need to develop robust climate adaptation strategies to protect vulnerable communities. Sementara Itu, the ancient city of Hoi An, a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its historic charm, has once again been grappling with its perennial adversary, flooding. Driven by the confluence of heavy monsoon rains, high tides, and increased discharge from upstream hydroelectric dams, large parts of the city have been submerged, disrupting the lives of local residents and the bustling tourism industry. While floods are a familiar feature of Hoi An's rainy season, the increasing intensity and unpredictability of these events highlight the growing risks posed by climate change. Hoi An's unique geography makes it particularly vulnerable to flooding. Situated on a coastal plain at the estuary of the Thu Bon River basin, the city is affected by a combination of factors. From October to December, Hoi An experiences its annual rainy season, which often brings heavy and prolonged downpours. The recent extreme weather patterns have seen rainfall reach exceptional levels, overwhelming the city's natural and engineered drainage systems. Adding to the problem, sudden and large-scale water releases from hydropower reservoirs located upstream in Nguyen Province often exacerbate the flooding downstream in Hoi An. The low-lying coastal areas of Hoi An are regularly affected by high tides and storm surges, especially during powerful storms. When these surges coincide with heavy rainfall, the ability of rivers to drain into the sea is severely hampered, causing water to back up and flood inland areas. The impact of the flooding has been significant, affecting not only daily life but also the cultural heritage of the city. The historic streets along the Cau River, including Bok Dang Street, are among the first to be inundated. Local shops and restaurants, which are the lifeblood of Hoi An's economy, have been forced to close temporarily. Boats, traditionally used for tourism, have been repurposed to navigate the flooded streets, ferrying locals and tourists who are often left stranded. The historic wooden buildings, which date back to the 18th century, are particularly susceptible to long-term damage from prolonged exposure to floodwaters. The repeated cycle of flooding poses a significant threat to the preservation of these cultural treasures. Many local residents, especially those living in low-lying areas, face the annual ordeal of having their homes submerged. While many have adapted by building elevated structures and taking precautionary measures, the increasing frequency and severity of floods are testing their resilience. Local authorities and the community have mobilized a coordinated response to the recurring floods. The National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting issues regular bulletins to provide early warnings and forecasts, helping minimize human and material losses. However, the unpredictable nature of extreme weather events remains a challenge. Hoi An's residents have developed remarkable resilience over generations. They are accustomed to the floods and have developed coping mechanisms, such as moving valuable belongings to higher floors and using wooden planks to create elevated walkways. The United Nations Development Program and other international partners have been working with the Vietnamese government to improve the resilience of vulnerable coastal communities. Initiatives include building flood-resistant homes, restoring vital mangrove ecosystems, and enhancing access to climate data and disaster preparedness tools.